At 5.
We're starting with a developing story out of the Northern Valley. A tense situation in the small town of Walhalla. Neighbors say cops with tactical gear shut down a city block, even evacuating homes with children. Valley News Team's Ryan Laughlin was there, uncovering what happened.
Kind of looked around and tried to stay away from windows, keep the kids on that side of the house.
Neighbors say cops weren't taking any chances when they learned a potentially dangerous man was in Walhalla.
We had the cops stop and ask us to stay close to one side of the house as there was possible gun violence next door.
Witnesses say that multiple law enforcement agencies with tactical gear, including the SWAT team, swarmed this block here in Walhalla. Neighboring homes even evacuated, told to take cover behind this building.
We thought maybe it was a little overkill, I guess. We know the neighbors and the kid involved, and he's generally, from what we knew of him, had been a pretty good kid.
Valley News Live has confirmed an arrest was made, and neighbors glad no injuries were initially reported.
We're really thankful it was all settled peacefully anyway.
From Walhalla, Ryan Laughlin, Valley News Live.
We're still waiting on the details that led up to the SWAT presence there. Multiple calls to the Pembina County Sheriff's Office have not been returned, and no information has been released at this time. But stick with Valley News Live for more developments on this story. We've got another developing story here in Fargo. An investigation is underway after a former inmate of the Cass County Jail makes allegations against a former correctional officer, accusing the officer of a sexual offense. The inmate reported the alleged offense on September 9th. 2 days later, the Cass County Sheriff's Office asked the North Dakota Bureau of Criminal Investigation to take over the case. You can stick with Valley News Live for further updates on this story also. The rain has been moving around today, sort of an equal opportunity soaker, if you will. But is it done? Hutch, what can we expect tonight?
Well, here in the Southern Valley, at best, we'll see spotty sprinkles. The main batch of rain has pushed up into northwest Minnesota, and that's where things are continuing this evening. The heaviest of which, though, shifting up into southern Canada. If you are in the Hallock area, Pembina, all the way down toward Thief River Falls and Grigla in Marshall County, Minnesota. A few showers will persist there for the next couple of hours. Rainfall estimates today, a half of an inch or more in the FM area, over an inch in Thief River Falls. A soggy day for the Northern Valley and for many of us here in the valley, while lower amounts of rain fell out to the west. Here's a look at your planning forecast. Look, a few breaks in the clouds out there. That trend will continue as we go through their forecast period, but temperatures will be cool this evening, so bring that light jacket. And again, an umbrella may be handy, Andrea, for those in the Northern Valley. Better chances of evening sprinkles there.
We sure needed a parka last night outside.
Right,
Yeah,
and I'll tell you
cold.
when you can grab those sunglasses again here in a few minutes.
Nice, thank you.
You bet.
Looking forward to that. Republican leaders are dealing with another loss in their effort to repeal and replace Obamacare. This afternoon, party leaders decided not to hold a vote on the latest GOP health care plan. Weijia Jiang has the latest from Capitol Hill.
Control and not under our control. We don't have the votes.
Republican leaders have decided not to hold a vote on the GOP health care bill after they failed to get enough support to pass it. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell said this about the decision.
We haven't given up on changing the American health care system. We are not going to be able to do that this week, but it still lies ahead of us.
President Trump made clear who he's blaming.
We were very disappointed by a couple of senators, Republican senators, I must say. We were very disappointed.
At least 4 Republican senators announced Monday they opposed their party's latest attempt to repeal and replace Obamacare. But the GOP could only afford to lose 2 votes to succeed. House Speaker Paul Ryan also expressed disappointment.
Well, obviously, in the House, we're a little frustrated because the House has done its job. We passed our health care bill last May.
Republicans had until Saturday to pass the bill with a simple majority of 51 votes, but they could not get to that number. By not voting, the GOP is avoiding an official failure on the Senate floor, like the one they suffered in July.
Today, Americans breathe a sigh of relief because the health care of millions has been protected and preserved.
The development is a victory for Democrats who held a rally with Obamacare recipients outside the Capitol. President Trump is already focusing on the next agenda item, tax reform. This morning, he met with the House Tax Writing Committee ahead of what he calls a big announcement on Wednesday. Weijia Jiang, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
A new report from the nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office estimates federal spending on Medicaid would be reduced by $1 trillion over the next 10 years under Graham Cassidy, but millions of people would lose Medicaid. A Moorhead man who was facing three felony counts of animal mistreatment after police say he admitted to killing 3 cats has now changed his not guilty plea. Jalen Greer pleaded guilty to one of those counts and entered an Alford plea for the other 2. An Alford plea is a guilty plea in criminal court where the defendant does not admit to the criminal act, but admits there is enough evidence to convict him. Because of the Alford plea, the other 2 counts of animal mistreatment will be dismissed at sentencing. Greer was arrested in March after police say they found a dead cat on his kitchen floor, and he admitted to killing 2 others. Greer's sentencing hearing is set for November. Tonight, in a Valley News Live exclusive, a man facing murder charges says he's innocent. Modesto Torres asked Valley News Team's crime and safety reporter, Nicole Johnson, to visit him in jail before his jury trial begins on Thursday. He's accused of being a part of a drug ring where a number of people allegedly conspired to move over 500 grams of meth across North Dakota and Minnesota. It's a drug ring that's believed to have led to the murder of a 24-year-old outside the Flying J truck stop in Grand Forks.
If I take a deal and everybody else takes a deal, well, then everything gets shoved under the rug and nobody hears the God honest truth.
You can hear more about the federal case and our exclusive interview coming up on Valley News Live at 6. Federal authorities in Minnesota have charged a man with selling heroin that was laced with a deadly drug. According to a criminal complaint, 34-year-old John Edmonds sold carfentanil laced heroin to an informant between July 21st and August 22nd. Carfentanil is a synthetic opioid that killed 11 people in Minnesota between January and April. The criminal complaint doesn't say whether Edmonds is suspected of supplying the drug in any of those cases. The opioid is 10,000 times more potent than morphine. It's used as a tranquilizer for elephants or other large animals. A West Fargo man was also busted for possession of the drug this summer. A Moorhead woman was hurt in a crash involving alcohol near Barnesville. It happened on Highway 34 around 6:30 last night. Troopers say 21-year-old Jacob Cadenhead of Missouri crossed the center line and hit an oncoming car. The driver of that car, 21-year-old Caitlin Went of Moorhead, was hurt in the crash. She was taken to a local hospital to be treated for injuries that are not life-threatening. A passenger in Went's car was not hurt. The report from the State Patrol says they believe Cadenhead had been drinking. Barnesville police say he was arrested and charges are pending. 2 people were hurt in a 2-car rollover in the Northern Valley. The Polk County Sheriff's Office says it happened around 6:30 last night at the intersection of County Roads 54 and 57. Deputies say 39-year-old James Gilbertson of Crookston failed to yield the right-of-way and hit a car driven by a teenage girl whose SUV then rolled into the ditch. She was taken to the hospital, but there's no word yet on her condition. Gilbertson was treated for non-life-threatening injuries and then given a ticket for failure to yield. The chancellor of the North Dakota University System wants the state to investigate what he says were attempts to manipulate his office into influencing the outcome of the 2016 primary election for governor. Chancellor Mark Hagerott says he received several phone calls from people asking him to disavow or fire former Governor Ed Schaefer, who was serving as the interim president at UND. He says it was because Schaefer endorsed Doug Burgum over State Attorney General Wayne Stenjum. Hagerott wants a special assistant attorney general to review his complaints. A spokeswoman for the attorney general says lawyers are looking into that request. Federal prosecutors are announcing charges of fraud and corruption in college basketball, including 4 top-level schools and a major basketball brand. An investigation found the men were part of a plan that targeted recruits and their families and included shoe and sportswear manufacturer Adidas. The accused are men at Auburn, Oklahoma State, the University of Arizona, and USC. Adidas and all of the universities have released statements saying they were unaware of the misconduct and will cooperate fully with authorities. Prosecutors say this is just the beginning of an ongoing investigation that could include other universities and other arrests.